Hey guys, so today I have a very special guest with me, and this is Kasra Dash. Hello, Kasra.
Hello, thanks for having me on.
It is a pleasure. And so last week I had a meeting with Koray Tuğberk, and we discussed the topic of topical authority for websites and on-page SEO and the strategy for on-page SEO. And I know that you, Kasra, you are extremely interested in those topics also. So that's why I thought that it would be appropriate to have you on as another expert on this topic. So welcome.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for having me on. I'm a big fan of Koray. A lot of the stuff that I preach on my own YouTube channel and stuff that I do for like clients and stuff is actually stemmed from Koray's teachings. I'm nowhere near as I think he's read like 3,500 Google patents and stuff. I am nowhere near in his realm, but I do have a good understanding of how topical authority works, how to actually structure your website in a way that Google actually trusts your site and actually gives you traffic.
That sounds good to hear, because I have a lot of questions with regards to that. So before we get started on my questions for you, so I did a little bit of research, i.e. I asked ChatGPT, who is Kasra Dash, and ChatGPT told me that you are known from the SEO and the affiliate space, and in particular, you're known for from the rank and rent websites space, where you have built rank and rent websites on a large scale. And you're the founder of the Masterminders, and you are the founder of the My SEO app, and your personal focus is on SEO testing and link building.
Yeah.
That's what ChatGPT knows about you.
Yeah, some of the stuff I would say is a little bit out of date. I think the biggest thing that probably got me speaking at a lot of conferences is the SEO testing side of stuff. Like I had and I still do. I've got a very large set of data points where I can figure out, okay, why is certain things cropped up after a Google algorithm update, or why is certain things dropped after a Google algorithm update. That's where I got a lot of my speaking opportunities at different conferences, and that's where I would think that's where a lot of people thought or still think that I'm quite an interesting character.
That's extremely interesting, the part with the SEO testing. So could you start out by letting us know, when did you start doing SEO, and what did you do?
Yeah, so SEO, I have probably been doing this. I always need to actually look at the year, because I have been doing SEO now for 8 years. So since 2018 until now, almost coming up to the 10-year expert stage. So I've been doing it for 8 years now. And yeah, I've seen it all. Like I have seen the days where content didn't really matter. You could just go and get some South African writers writing you some cheap content for $2-3, blasting it with a load of citations, and it would rank. I have seen the days where how-to guides or the more question-based articles would rank, and obviously I've seen the downfall of that in 2023, the helpful content update, famously known for wiping a load of affiliate websites and wiping a load of informational style content and articles. And I have also seen the rise of expertly written content, where you're a lot more strategic with your content. You're almost like a sniper nowadays with how you write content. So yeah, I've kind of seen this. I'm not saying that like I'm the most experienced SEOs. Like you speak to guys like Gareth Hoyle, for example, and he's been doing SEO since the Panda and Penguin days, right? But yeah, I feel like I've seen a lot of ups and downs, more so recently, in the last few years, when it comes to SEO.
I think it's interesting with regards to the expert content that you mentioned now, and the more thin content based on questions and answers that used to rank before. One of my first experiences with mass page AI sites was CTRFI, I think it's called. Do you remember that platform?
Yeah, Yeah.
It was one of the first website builders that actually built out these websites at scale. And I think it was only based on actually questions and answers. So questions that people usually ask, and then just write out an article based on that. And that worked extremely well in the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing, especially like when you do a lot of testing, right, is that you very quickly realize that certain things work in certain industries that might not work in other industries. So one of my pet peeves, right, is if, say, for example, I'm at an SEO conference and someone says, nope, that 100% doesn't work, because a lot of people that I've spoke to in the past, they might only be ranking in iGaming space, in the crypto space, right? And they might do a certain test on there and it works. That doesn't necessarily mean that that certain test, let's say you blast the page with 1,000 backlinks and you start ranking, right? That might work in the crypto space, but that might not work in a local plumbing space. Or, for example, citations, like I believe both of us would probably agree with. Citations works really well for local businesses, but that's not necessarily going to get a crypto business ranking from position number 9 to position number 1. So SEO is it's ever evolving, and it's also very dependent on which industry you're trying to show up and rank for as well.
Totally 100% agree. And with regards to SEO testing, let's just start with that topic because I think it's super interesting. So how do you do SEO testing, and why do you think it's important to do SEO testing? I think it's super important, but what's your take, what's your opinion on if it's important, and how do you perform an SEO test?
So there's a variety of different ways that you can do it. Like, for example, Kyle Roof, famously known for ranking lorem ipsum content. So what he done was he basically ranked a article or a website or a web page for just some gobbledygook content. So it actually has no meaning. And he had 5 different websites, right? And he would do like, it was just his 5 websites that were ranking for that phrase. So it was a clean search. And then what he would then do is he would do something on the web page that's ranking position number 5 to see if that influences the ranking, or potentially it maybe doesn't do anything. So that's the cleanest way to do it. Now, I'm not saying that I do the cleanest way. I have done tests like that where I own the entire SERP and I throw in together maybe certain keywords, or maybe I internally link to that page to see if there's a positive or negative influence. On other cases, what you can also do, and this is one thing that I love to break down, because you almost need to have like what's the best way that I can explain this? So I'll give you a good example. I will take a look at industries that I am not in, that I know are super competitive. So the crypto space, the porn industry, and the gambling space, right? Those are I would say those are the 3 hardest to rank for industries. Finance is also up there. I would take a look at what those websites are doing, and I would basically try to mimic that on my own website. So one thing that I very quickly realized, this is going back a few years ago, is that you can have certain emojis in your page titles and your meta descriptions that obviously get you more clicks. Now, if you have that, or if you were to take a look at certain SERPs like that, you will actually see that crypto and gambling sites always do it. So I don't know if they're doing it now, but like one of the keywords that I always love taking a look at is best slot sites, because usually the sites that are ranking for best slot sites are usually pretty decent at SEO. Am I able to share it?
Yeah, you can share. So what you're talking about for people that don't know, that using smiley emoji, or I don't know, any emoji in the page title that's being shown in the Google search, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Will be able to see. Let's see here.
Should be able to share my screen now.
I think you're sharing now. Yeah,
right.
I can see that you're searching for best slot sites.
So as you can see, right, these guys, they've got a star. right?
I can see that.
Now, I'm not saying that this is going to necessarily take you from position 5 to position 1, but it's all the little micro wins. So like taking a look at what these guys are doing now, these are probably like the top 1%ers of SEOs, right? Anyone that can rank for best slot sites, I would consider as being a very good SEO. So taking a look at any of these websites and trying to pinpoint what they're doing from a page title point of view, what they're doing from a meta description point of view, taking a look at their content, seeing have they got anything in their content that you're not doing. So for example, the pros and cons, have they got certain FAQs? What pages are they internally linking to? Now, I'm not saying that you can replicate all of this on your website, especially if like you're a little local plumber, right? But if you can, let's say, have like certain page titles, as you can see, what they're actually doing is they've actually got 2 different emojis, but actually Google is only picking up one of them.
Yeah.
So maybe what they're doing is maybe they've got 2 different emojis for Bing, right?
Yeah.
So I would then take a look at Bing.
Bing or Google is split testing and found out that the star emoji is performing better, actually. It could be that also.
Yeah. Exactly that. So I would be taking a look at certain sites, even on Bing, for example, trying to figure out what they're doing, especially in like the harder to rank for phrases, and trying to mimic that on my website. That's one way that I can test. Another way that you can obviously do SEO testing is by having access to large websites, because in a lot of industries, or in a lot of cases, Ahrefs and SEMrush doesn't actually show you the true data. What actually does show you the true data is Google Search Console. And if you can go one step further, you can actually import Google Search Console into like a Looker Studio. And when you do that, you can actually see more than just the 1,000 phrases. And when you actually
Studio, so that's Google Analytics Advanced. I never used that Looker Studio, but I see that some advanced SEO talk about it.
Looker Studio is basically it makes you, what a lot of people use it for is it makes Google GA4 look a lot nicer and presentable. Right. Or certain agencies, certain SEO agencies, they use it for like reporting. So at the end of the month, they'll report back to their clients saying, hey, we've been able to improve your clicks by 6% or 10% or whatever the case is. So a lot of people use it for that. I like to use it from a more of an analytical point of view. So you can basically plug in certain things. It's kind of in a way like NAN, but for Google data points. So you can plug in GA4, you can plug in Google Search Console, and certain pages might have jumped up, and it might not even be necessarily from the SEO efforts that you've done. Maybe you've built some link, you think it's that. It might actually just be from people landing on that page and just having a good experience. So it might just be from a UX and UI point of view, right? Because SEO isn't no longer, like when I first got into SEO, and I always feel like a 90-year-old man when I say that, but when I got into SEO, it was primarily about content and links, more so about the quality of the links or the power of the links that you've got. But now SEO is more so a multifaceted approach. You need good content, you need good backlinks. You also need a good user experience from a user experience point of view. Are people just viewing your website, clicking off and going to position number 2? Because if that's the case, you're probably going to get deranked very quickly.
So you published an interesting video 4 days ago that I found it to be interesting, because the topic for that video was how can you rewrite or re-optimize or rewrite old content to get higher rankings.
Yeah.
And so the methodology in that video, I'm going to ask about that, but the methodology in that video, was that based on SEO testing or just common sense? Or
I mean, it's a bit of both, because so the video that Jesper is referring to is I basically went into Google Search Console and I got a list of keywords that I was showing impressions for that I did not have on my page. Now, this is one of those approaches where it is very time consuming. It's what I deem boring SEO. No one wants to do it. You would much rather, I don't know, build a couple links or do a few internal links, right? Adding adding keywords from your Google Search Console that you're getting impressions for that you do not have on your page is probably the most boring task that you can do, which is probably why a lot of people don't do it. But Google Search Console does uncover a lot of what I like to call hidden gems, keywords or phrases that you're showing up for that literally nobody has on their page. So if you can include that on your page, then by all means do it. You're gonna end up showing up for a lot of phrases by doing that. I think the page that I was referring to is I have a page on my kasradash.com website that is best SEO experts. Right now, I've optimized that page for best SEO experts in 2026. But one of the phrases that gets a lot of impressions is SEO gurus. So you can actually have that in the actual page. And I actually, after the video, I clicked onto like the top 10 results for best SEO experts, and none of them have SEO gurus on the page. So it's literally just like, Google's literally showing you like, hey, you're getting impressions for this. We trust you, but you've not mentioned it on your web page. So by all means, add it in, get those clicks.
I think this is an interesting approach, because what you, to recapitulate what your method is that for existing blog post or service pages, so what you do is you go into Google Search Console for this, and we're talking about established pages.
Yep.
For this page, and then you're looking at what keywords is it ranking for, not on page 1, but below.
Yeah.
Checking if these keywords are or are not on the page. And if they are not on the page, simply just find a way to actually add these keywords on the page, because then the effect will be that it will rank higher for those keywords, right?
Yeah. I mean, so like the reason why I done that video is I had a call with a client, or it might have been like a consultation call or whatever. And this guy was terrified to upload content to his website because he was like, it's not perfect, blah, 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 blah. It needs to be 100% perfect. Now, I think we would both agree in saying this. No content is perfect. Like I have uploaded articles to my website, and I'm like, I look at it in 3 months' time, I'm like, that is a shocking piece of content. I should go in and update that. That's the reason why I done that video, because so many people obsess over surfer SEO scores or phrase SEO scores. They want to get 100 out of 100. It's no article. You show me any article and you say that this is the perfect article, I can guarantee you I can probably, or I feel like anyone could find issues with that article.
A hole or an issue, or, you know, something.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that you can also do, if you want to go one step further, which I didn't mention in that video, a little bit of a knowledge bomb for the people listening. Once you have the list of, let's say, 50 keywords or phrases that you want to include in your article, you can also use those as internal linking opportunities as well. So go and find relevant pages to that web page, let's say best SEO experts. You find maybe 1 or 2 pages that you want to internally link to that page. Use that key phrases as internal link opportunities as well.
Ah, that's a clever trick, because it will, in turn, it will give Google the relevancy signal for those keywords to that page.
Exactly.
That's nice. That's a nice trick. And I noticed that you're using, so in that video, I noticed that you're using AI to optimize the content, and obviously we have to use AI now because it may just make things faster. So I was wondering if you, and that's another question, you did mention Server SEO, if you are using Server SEO or Page Optimizer Pro, or if you're just, are you only relying on AI now, Claude or ChatGPT?
So this is a 2-part question, or a 2-part answer, right? Now, for someone like myself or someone like yourself, right, we understand AI, we understand what good content looks like, we understand what bad content looks like. So in that case, does it make sense for us to use Surfer SEO, or does it make sense for us to use Phrase or whatever content writing tool? Probably not, because we can do it in a cheaper way using these tools with more. I mean, you do need like quite a big prompt, right? Whereas if you are a local plumber that is doing the actual work and you are creating, I don't know, 10, 15 pages a month, you do not want to be going back and forth with Claude or ChatGPT, and because I love AI, and the video that I uploaded today on my channel was AI SEO content is dead, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people,
that's another question I have. Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of people, they will just go into ChatGPT and they say, hey, write me an article on how to build backlinks or how to do SEO, and they will literally just copy and paste that, upload it to their website. Now, the issue you've got with that is when you're crafting content with AI, you want to make it as hard as possible for the next person to come along to be able to create that exact same article. Now, if I went into ChatGPT and I said, hey, write me an article on what is SEO, and you done the exact same, how many people can create that content time and time and time again? Whereas if you can give it certain prompts, maybe about your business, maybe about the services that you offer, maybe about the pages you have live on your website, that content looks way different to the guy that just went on ChatGPT and said, hey, write me an article.
Yeah.
That's the reasoning you need to give it.
And Koray, he mentioned in our discussion about this that he found some patents, or one patent, but he mentioned that Google is actually measuring also the efforts that you put into creating content. And I have read so many places that this is actually, I don't know if you could call it a ranking factor. I guess it is, but it is a quality factor where they have some sort of way to measure the perceived work that you as the producer or provider of this content that you actually put into creating this content. So if it's AI, go to Claude, ChatGPT, write me an article about search engine optimization. That's low effort, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but if it's manually produced, i.e., that's Kasra Dash, he wrote this article and he spent 2 days writing it. They have some sort of way of detecting that this is actually done in hand.
Yeah.
I don't know if they measure if it's AI. They probably do, but they do measure the efforts.
It's down to how easy it is to replicate. So like what I'll do is I'll share my screen, because this was an article that I was looking at literally today when I was recording my video. And this is Ahrefs' study on, does AI generated content rank or does it hurt your website? They analyzed 600,000 pages. So it's not like a small data set. That's another thing as well to take into consideration. When you're reading some of these SEO tests, look at the pool size of the websites that they actually analyze. 600,000 pages, pretty big. And I want to show you this here, right? Most of the top ranking pages are AI assisted. According to our AI detector, human written content only made up 13.5% of the time of the top 20 ranking pages. This means that 86.5% of top ranking pages contain some amount of AI generated content. That's not to say that the entire article was AI generated, but they used AI at certain points. It might be, I don't know, an AI image. It might be a bullet pointed list. They might have used AI to organize a table. In some form of case, that's when AI is actually used. I think if you're using AI in that sense, so maybe you're using AI for the brunt of the work, and then you're going back through the content and making certain that everything's factually correct. You're just sprinkling that special dust, that special SEO dust, let's call it that. At that point, it is pretty hard to replicate. So like one of the best scenario, or one of the best examples of this was Ferry from Search Intelligence. He does a lot of like digital PR and stuff.
Yeah, link building, yes. Yeah.
And how he gets attention is he literally spends like 2 or 3 days for his clients, and he will create like a case study or an infographic of the most DUI arrests in US, right? And stuff like that does really well. So it's not necessarily like, I don't think it's necessarily like, okay, is this human detected content? I think it's how hard is it to actually create that content and how hard is it to replicate that content. Like I'll show you another example here as well. So if I share, I should probably just keep sharing my screen. So if
yeah.
if I search most DUI arrests by state, I believe, yeah, alcohol.org, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if this is one of Ferry's clients or what, but these guys, they created like an infographic and they've got like a heat map.
I remember that case study. Yeah, he shared that. Yeah.
So like this is like AI could, I mean, AI can help you. Like I'm sure that if you were to ask AI, can you give me a list of the top 50 states of the most arrests to the least arrests for DUIs, I think it could probably get that data for you, right? Will it be factual? That's when you would probably want to actually analyze the content and think, right, okay, well, actually it's saying Michigan's 3.1, it's actually 2.7 as of 2026, right? There might be a new data set that AI has just not picked up yet. It cannot, and to my knowledge, and if someone is watching this and you think actually Kasra's wrong here, by all means, message me, reach out to me, whatever you want. I don't know of an AI tool that can create an infographic in this particular detailed, is actually going into detail as to which states have the most DUI arrests, which states have the least. I mean, maybe Google. There's one that Google does it, and I would say that that's probably the best one. But even then, it still can't get perfect results like this.
No,
so
I think that the problem is that if you ask the AI, ChatGPT or Nana Banana or Gemini or whatever you use to create such an infographic, you could never trust these figures. You could never trust these numbers. For sure, it would hallucinate some of these numbers. So it's
but yeah, like this is literally just like what they've done here is they've made data pretty, right? Data is ugly. A lot of data scientists that I speak to, like they're super nerdy, very intelligent guys, but super nerdy. And if you try to extract that information and just give that information to like a good graphic designer, right? I don't know how much they've spent on this, but let's say it's $100 they've spent on this. The amount of links that you can actually generate for maybe, I don't know, half a day's worth of work and maybe a graphic designer's salary and stuff, right? Like I believe they have got, let's take a look. Yeah, 77 backlinks. It's not crazy amounts, but if you take a look at the actual backlinks that these guys have, smartfinancial.com is a car insurance company. DWI Law Attorneys, this is another law firm linking to these guys. These guys, by the way, they're a rehab clinic, right?
Yeah.
These links are just unachievable. Like if you go to any link building platform, if you try to do outreach to any of these guys, they will literally just tell you to F off. So just by creating content like this can actually help you go a very long way.
I think this is an interesting reminder to the people doing SEO that you need to do proper research, and you actually might get links.
Yeah,
you might get backlinks if you do proper research and write a good article.
So I was speaking to Charles, right?
Yeah.
Now I do agree with what you're saying, but me and Charles also agreed on, let's say, for example, me and you just set up a new rehab clinic in Denmark, right? We would not be able to outrank these guys for DUI arrests, or actually, I suppose it needs to be a rehab clinic in America, right? Let's say we've done that. You would still want to acquire the first batch of links, so you are actually ranking for DUI arrests by state or whatever. And then anything after that will naturally come. So don't think just by having a super good article on your website, well researched, is going to rank, because 7 or 8 times out of 10 it's not, unless you're in like a super easy to rank for industry, which is also another one of the reasons as to why I always say the most well-written article usually actually isn't on page 1 of Google. In some cases, it might be on page 2 or page 3, because this is what I mean. SEO is multifaceted. So the results on page 1 might just be ranking because they've got really good, powerful backlinks, or they might have really good UI, and they might have really good technical SEO. So always take into consideration as to why certain websites are ranking.
I think that's interesting, and that leads me to another question that I had in mind I wanted to ask you about. I know it's impossible for you to reply, but still, what do you think is the most important ranking factor? On-page SEO or backlinks?
I would say that on-page SEO is the most important, and I'll go into detail as to why. I mean, do you know what? You could ask me this question 100 times and it'll probably be 50-50.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say that is, let's say, for example, you had a completely blank page and I had a magical button which I could press and I could get you a link from Forbes, a link from Facebook, a link from Google. I don't know how you would do that. Just the most powerful links. Mm-hmm. It still doesn't mean that you're going to rank if you've not got any content there. Like just even having like a H1, I don't know, like have something there. But yeah, it is one of those things where, like, if you take it to the extremes, and if you say, right, okay, if I went and got you the 100 most powerful backlinks in the world, pointing it to a website with zero content, what's that going to rank for? Whereas with content, if you do content correctly, in some cases, especially if you're in the easy to rank for industry, maybe you're a plumber in, I don't know, North Dakota or Arkansas or wherever, you do have the tendency or the chance of being able to rank without any links or with low amounts of links.
Yeah, and that's just I think that's just the way that the Google algorithm has evolved, right? Because although at the core it is based on links, that's the first version of the Google algorithm anyway. And they, of course, they still use that, but it just has evolved. So let's say 5 or at least 10 years ago, you could rank an empty page just by links. And it's just not possible anymore.
Yeah.
At least, I mean, I would say for all practical purposes, it's not possible anymore.
I mean, if you want to know the true #1 ranking factor, I wouldn't say it's content or links. I would say it's branding. Again, like, I know everyone gets trolled online saying, oh, branding this, branding that. It's like telling a homeless person to go and buy a house, right? But if you are able to control what's being said about you online, if you are able to have social profiles completely dominate the top 10 results for your name or for your company's name, that's when SEO becomes fun. Because that way, first of all, you're trusted. Second of all the LLMs cite the same sources. So if you have a high reputation online, then brilliant. And then that's when you also get cited in AI overviews as well. So there's a difference between what AI thinks of you and AI actually citing you as well. So I would say it all comes down to branding. Having strong branding is probably the #1 ranking factor, I would say.
I 100% agree. That's why I post all of the time on X and LinkedIn and Facebook and all of my social media profiles. And I think that with regards to what we talked about 5 minutes ago about writing the perfect blog post, but it's ranking on page 2 or page 3, one thing that you could do, just one practical tip, is just having, 8 social media profiles, the 8 most common social media profiles, write a short post about this blog post, place the link and post. It's backlinking, but it's also branding. So
yeah. I mean, any natural website or any big website, like for example Ahrefs blog posts, they always get shared on socials, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, wherever the case is. It always does tend to happen. So yeah, it does definitely make sense. It's probably one of the reasons why you see a lot of SEO experts posting in a variety of different places, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Substack, Facebook, wherever the case is. They might not mean to do it, but that's why they're doing it.
Yeah, totally agree. So I want to move over to a related topic, and that there is topical authority. So topical authority is something that we talk about on the website level. So And I want to ask you the broad question, if you can define for us what is, or how do you define topical authority for a website?
So topical authority, there's two instances. There's topical coverage and there's topical authority. So topical coverage is like the amount of articles you've published. It might not necessarily mean they actually get traffic. You've just covered the topic. Then you've got topical authority. So topical authority is pages that are actually talking about a certain subject, but also get traffic as well. Now, I believe this is one of Koray's examples in his actual course, where he mentions you can have 999 pages about the Bible, but if your one page on your entire website gets traffic for, I don't know, how to fix a car, Google deems you as a topical authoritative figure on how to fix a car. It doesn't matter how many pages you've got about the Bible or whatever, right? So you want to make certain that you are actually getting content plus traffic. That's when you actually gain topical authority.
So he claims, because I didn't take his course, so I didn't know that. So he claims that you need, I mean, you can't gain topical authority in the eyes of Google unless you have traffic also.
Yeah.
I see.
I mean, it makes sense.
Because in my mind, in my naive mind, I would imagine that you need the content first before you can actually get the traffic. You know what I mean?
So yes, but if you so you have 999 pages on your website talking about the Bible, then you have one page talking about how to fix a car, and that one page gets 1 million clicks a month.
Yeah,
Google trusts you on more car related articles as opposed to Bible related articles. So I get what you're saying. Like you obviously need to create the pages to get the traffic. Like it's kind of like the chicken and the egg, right? Which came first? But in that case, he's almost saying like it's probably one of the biggest reasons as to why HCU hit websites got impacted, right? They went too broad. They were speaking about a lot of different subjects and they weren't an expert in anything. Whereas if you're an expert in, I don't know, how to rank websites and you start talking about PPC all of a sudden, Google's like, whoa. You've never done PPC articles. You know how to rank websites and you're really good at SEO. Just stick to that.
I think it's just one of these points where I think that I can understand this from a Google point of view, but from a writer or a website owner point of view, I think that it shouldn't be up to Google to determine on that level, I mean, what a website should rank for, because what you're essentially saying is that if we, let's say I have a blog post about, for schemawriter about schema, I write 50 blog posts about schema, and I start to get traffic and rank for related keywords to that, but then I start writing about backlinks. Because in my mind, when you're doing schema, it's related to Onpage SEO, it's related to SEO, it's also related to backlinks. But if I start writing about backlinks, I might not get rankings, fast or as well, or actually my schema rankings might actually start to go down.
So that's when contextual bridging comes into play. So there would be certain articles that you could write prior to writing about backlinks that would make a little bit more sense. And that way you can almost piggyback off the schema trust. So for example, you've got the 50 articles talking about schema. Maybe another article that you can talk about is same as schema and actually having all of your backlinks mentioned, right? So you're slowly creeping your way into backlink. And I'm not saying that you can't talk about backlinks and schema on the same page, but you need to have contextual bridges. So what is the purpose of you talking about backlinks? Is it to do with you mentioned the same as schema? That way Google's like, right, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You can talk about schema and also backlinks on the same site. But for like that example that I gave, the 999 articles talking about the Bible and the one article talking about how to fix cars, right? That's an absolute extreme case scenario, right? I don't I know of any websites that talk about how to fix cars and
the Bible.
And the Bible. The only one caveat to that is like Wikipedia.
Yeah.
But like that's a completely different subject.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get it. So I was wondering about because now we have AI. Do you know of a way or a software that allows us to actually measure the topical authority or the topics for a website that Google thinks that this website has the topical authority over? Do you know of a way where we can actually measure that, or is it just, I look at the website and I think it has topical authority? How do we do that?
I mean, I'm sure there are tools that can do it. I just wouldn't trust them. And I'll tell you why I wouldn't trust a topical authority tool. Topical authority can be measured in different ways for different websites, even in the same industry. So let's say, for example, if we were both trying to rank for backlinks, right? And you take a look at both of our websites and as an eyeball test, you would think, okay, these two websites, they know what they're talking about. There's a lot of topical authority there. But the issue rises where, what are you actually trying to sell that customer? What's your end point, right? You might be trying to sell them guest posts and niche edits. I might be trying to sell them digital PR. So topical authority in that realm is calculated in a different way. There's certain subjects that you need to be speaking about on your website, and there's certain subjects that I need to be speaking about on my website. So for example, if we both rank very well for link building, how to do link building, this is actually the case, by the way, like SEMrush ranks for how to build links, Muckrack ranks very well for how to build links. But if, say, for example, you're going after guest posts and niche edits, and that's what you want your customers that are landing on your website to actually purchase from you, you might end up talking about certain articles to do with how to do outreach, how to make certain your backlinks are indexed, all that stuff, right? Whereas I, that sell digital PR, would it make sense for me to talk about how to index your backlinks? Probably not, because they're getting a link from the Daily Mail, which, to my knowledge, Daily Mail always indexes. They don't have any issues with indexing at all. I might talk about Muckrack, so that's like a tool to do your outreach or to actually get those digital PR backlinks. I might talk about Prowly, so I might have certain reviews that you might not have. So this is what I mean. Like, if you were to try and create a topical authority tool, and I know that there is someone out there doing this. I just do not remember the tool.
I think that the American guy, Andrew Ainsley, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his last name correct, but Andrew he just launched a platform called Thorbit AI,
right,
like that. And I think that what he's doing is actually, he's trying to actually measure the topical authority. And I do think that Ferry also launched a platform that does something related to topical authority on a website level. But
yeah.
I
mean, I've not looked at any of the tools, but to my understanding, like, it's so nuanced. I mean, I'd love for Andrew or Ferry to build out a tool, because it would make my life a lot easier. But to my knowledge, there's just all of these nuances, and it just, I think it would be a very useful tool, but it would be a very difficult tool to create.
Yeah, because Koray, he also talks about these, that the way that Google understands our websites and our web pages is that they convert all of the words into vectors, and then and these vectors exist in a multi-dimensional space, mathematical space, and each vector is a word. And the way that they calculate if this word, if you're writing an article and you're going to add some new content into the old article like you just showed in your video 4 days ago, then the way that the Google actually calculates if these new words are related to the old content is they measure the angle between these two vectors or words. So the distance, however you could call it. Forgot where I was going with that. But anyway, so that's, so it's topical authority on a website level would be, you have this vector space of all your words. So that's the website. And then if you're going to add a new article, it shouldn't be too far away from the already existing amount of words.
Yeah, it's like in a way it's kind of like TF-IDF, so term frequency and document frequency. So for example, if you have certain words on a page, Google understands what you're talking about. So for example, if I was to mention man and crown, it would think king. If I was to mention wife of the man and crown, it would think queen.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to my understanding of it as well.
So if I have a new website, so let's say I have either a new website or I have a perhaps established website. I'm a local business owner and I want to establish topical authority. Do you have a couple of pointers on what could I do? What would be the first pages that I would build?
Yeah, so if you're an established business, the goal is actually in your Google Search Console. So go and look at articles that you are maybe showing impressions for, but you don't actually have on your website. So there's like certain regexes you can use in your Google Search Console, like how, why, all of those questions that you can basically start to produce. You would actually be surprised as to how many accidental keywords you're actually showing up for if you use like a regex. That's what I would do for an established website. If it's for a brand new website for topical authority, is go and take a look at the top maybe 10 ranking websites and try and figure out which articles they have on their website, which services they have, which blog posts they have, which locations they have, all of those, and then basically combine it into like a mini sitemap for your website. But that being said, one thing that I would take into consideration, there's going to be certain services that other, let's say, accountants or other lawyers or whatever industry you're in provide that you don't provide. So, for example, in the UK, there are what's called like normal accountants that aren't like chartered. They're not certified or CPAs or whatever you want to call them. And there are chartered accountants. Now, if, say, for example, you are a non-chartered accountant and you're looking at a chartered accountancy website, they might have certain services that only chartered accountants can actually offer. Like, for example, forensic work. You need to be chartered to actually provide that. There's other stuff as well. Like, I believe if you were trying to close down a company, that needs to be a chartered accountant as well. So just make certain that the services that basically you're just not going on to like your competitor's website, grabbing all 15 of their services, all 65 of their blog articles, and just republishing that. You don't want to do that. You want to almost stamp your own authority in this space. But that's probably the one thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration. Like, go and look at what's actually working for others and seeing how you can basically adjust that for your own business.
I totally agree. I actually used to use SEMrush to, I don't use SEMrush anymore, but I did used to use it to write out sitemaps for the websites I was working for. So what I would do is I would take the top 10 websites for any particular search term, go into SEMrush, and then make reports where I would actually grab all the URLs for all the websites. So actually, I would actually go to Screaming Frog first, extract the sitemap, and then put those over to SEMrush and do a lot of work on figuring out what to write for, actually.
Yeah.
I think that would be easier with AI now, but I think that what you just mentioned at the beginning was a super valuable tip. So what you actually mentioned was that if we have an established website, just might not be as big as we want it to be, the website. What we could do is that if we have Google Search Console, find all of the keywords that we're ranking for that doesn't have a site or page or blog post. Export all of these keywords, sort them into topics. We could use AI and write blog posts for these keywords, because then what we're doing is that we have an established amount of words, and then we're using the Google's own data, because they're showing us for these keywords, but they don't exist. So Google already thinks that we are relevant for these keywords. That's an excellent way of doing this, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I like to call easy SEO, right? Like, it's always easy.
Smart SEO, yeah.
Yeah, it's smart SEO, easy SEO. It's like, I would never work with a brand new company, because the issue you've got with a brand new company, and it's fine and dandy, all of us doing these videos saying rank in 7 days, rank in 10 days, rank in 24 hours, right? To be able to achieve those results, you need an established brand. And I don't like working with brand new websites or brand new businesses, because if we think of it, right, it's going to take 6 to 12 months to rank in terms of the keywords that they're going to want to pick, maybe even a little bit more if they're maybe like a rehab clinic, right? By that point, they've paid you, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 grand a month for the last 12 months, and they're probably going to be annoyed because they've not had the results that they thought. Whereas if you were to take on a website that's maybe already a DR50 website, it's already got these missing keywords or these articles that they just don't have on their website in their Google Search Console. You just come in and you literally look like a star. Like, you look like the MVP of that company, because you went in, you've produced, let's say, 25, 30 blog posts, and it's easy SEO.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a perfect analogy, MVP of SEO. My time is running now, Kasra, but I have something. I have actually 2 questions to the 2 last questions I have.
Yeah, let's do it.
Are you working on something new right now that we don't know of?
So the only 2 things that I'm working on is my SEO.app, which you've already been on. And then the masterminders. I don't. I'm not working on anything in secret.
Okay. Yeah. No secret projects.
Unless ChatGPT said that I am.
No.
Right. Okay. No.
I didn't have it from Chat. Just a question I just thought could be interesting. So, what's important for SEO in 2026? What do you think?
Important for SEO. Do stop looking at clicks and impressions. I think that by the end of 2026, we're probably going to get a lot less clicks in terms of blog posts. And it's probably going to come down to brand, like how many branded clicks.
Clicks are going down like this. Crash.
Yeah. I mean, so the interesting thing is, like, my name, Kasra Dash, or the masterminders, or my SEO, like, I look at all of that from a week to week and a month by month basis. All of them are at an all-time high. But like informational style articles are like literally an all-time low. And it's not to say that like I'm a bad SEO or whatever. It's just how the algorithms changed. Rand Fishkin actually done a really good video on this, where he's talking about the perfect click, right? So if you're like an SEO agency, I also think Jason Barnard talks about this as well. But if you're like an SEO agency and your metric to your clients are, hey, we're going to deliver more clicks every single month to that brand, right? That's a really bad reporting style. What you would actually want to do is how many leads have they had, or let's say it's an e-commerce store, how many sales have they had? That's a way better it's a more future-proof metric to go by, because even like not even in terms of AI, but like even when Google released the featured snippets, which I believe was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago now, a lot of people thought, oh, a lot of my clicks are going to go down. It's probably going to go more down now with AI, but every time Google's trying to keep people on their own platform. Unless they actually need to go out and physically buy a product, which at that point they will send you the click, or they need to fill out an inquiry. Maybe they're looking for a new roof or maybe a new solar panel, whatever the case is. At that point, you show up for that. So focus on branding. Don't look at clicks and impressions is my two go-to tactics.
Thank you for that, Kasra, and thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure. So
No worries.
yeah, I don't have any more questions, and I'm out of time now. So yeah, once again, thank you for coming on. It was such a pleasure to talk about these topics.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. I'll stop the recording now, but please hold on.
Yeah, we'll do.
Bye-bye.